Um, okay. Tell me about your again at three times a week. So let's get into this. I know this is a big, my wife and I talk about this a lot, and I've talked about it a little bit with people on going to more than once a week. So I've been promoting. I still am only doing once a week. I think we're starting this next week. We're gonna do twice a week. But even going to twice a week, is it like, oh, is that? Are you gonna get unsubscribes? Are you gonna have problems with that? Again, I think going to two is like a no brainer. But you're already at three, plus your town is way smaller than mine. How do you think about, the pro and cons there? Did maybe when you went from one to two or two to three, did you have more unsubscribes? How do you think about that?
My first issue from going from one to three.
Oh, you went straight one to three?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a weird path there. Well, I won't dive too much into it. I went one to three, and then I went to two for a couple of weeks. I was just my personal life got just crazy for a bit, and then I went back to three. But let's call it. I basically went one to three.
Yeah.
And the first newsletter, there was like the first week, of three, there was like a higher than average churn rate, but it was nothing that I thought. I was like, this is either going to be detrimental to the entire newsletter, and it's going to like make or break my business. But I got a few complaints, and then absolutely nothing changed with churn rate after that. It was literally just like, this is just what we do now. And actually it made it stickier because we were more relevant with our content. And I was able to put different content pieces in that I wasn't able to before, because now I have the extra room. So we're doing more polls now. I'm asking people more questions. I'm providing the answers back in the next newsletter, and it's not like poll on Tuesday and then all the way the next Tuesday I'm reminding you about like the poll we had last week that's no longer maybe relevant in the community anymore. It's like poll Monday, answers Wednesday. And so I find personally like what my community, it made it like stickier, and it made us more relevant than than I was before.
So I want to get into this because that's my other big question here. That's the big thing that I've been pushing. Again, as somebody who has not done it yet, I've been confident that what you just said is true, and thank you for confirming it, which is when you're just once a week, especially if you're not doing anything else significant, but either way, once a week, you're just not hitting people enough for it to be as sticky and feel like this true brand that I know and care about. It's too rare. Like 4 times in a month they see you, and yeah, they probably like you, it's cool, but it just doesn't feel like this brand that's really matters to them, where by doing 2 or 3, or once you get beyond that, it's common enough that it's like, oh yeah, this brand, you're in front of them very frequently, building that real relationship that they can associate themselves with more than just a cool thing they get occasionally. That sounds like what you're describing, right?
Yeah, that was exactly. Like I've seen the like Mikey Pesto's the master at like I think he's once a week, and he's monetized through some other ways. He's extremely creative, and it's like so cool to see what he does. And he gets his brand in people's homes other ways. Like they have physical Monopoly boards, and like they like, so he's done a really good job that way. I always I have a sales background. That's what I've done for 12 years. I always knew I could sell ads. So when it came down to the monetization and all that, I always knew that I would have to go through more than one a week for this to be a long-term thing for me. And so it was just basically ripping the Band-Aid off at that point. And you're totally right. Like the content just got more sticky. But I guess it depends. Like I know a lot of like us local newsletter folks are doing different things. Like some people are just doing events. I don't know like how many times a week you could send just a bunch of events. I do local news. I do local cities updates, city council things. So that's why it's more relevant, right? Like if there's a city council meeting on Tuesday and I tell people Wednesday morning, that's like right there. Awesome. It wouldn't have worked if I was talking about it the next Tuesday. So not to harp on that anymore, but that was just my mindset when it came down to like, if I was like, it really came to like TJ to a point where like, am I getting serious about this or no? And when the answer for me personally was yes, that meant I have to go more days, and I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and do it, because I'm either going to find out I'm unable to do this with my amount of time I have in my life really quickly, or I'm going to continue to do this once a week, and I don't know if I'll ever monetize this to the point where it's worth it for me, if that any of that makes sense. But
Yeah. Are you doing anything else work wise, or is this your full time focus?
No, I have a full time job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'm a national sales manager for a company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Man, okay, that's really cool. Okay, so tell me again, real quick. I don't think I wanted to get your take on the full brand angle. Is this something that you're thinking about, or do you have now? You know, I've been talking about it a little bit online, where I just launched my full website, which is a Beehive website, and most people don't have access to it yet. But um, uh, Scott, who I just had on, his episode went live today, but he started as a local media guy way before newsletters, and his started as a website, right? Like that's what you used to do in the early 2010s or before. And so he's kind of taken the opposite approach of us, right? He was like website first, and then slowly is launching the newsletter side. But his point, and I think I'm most, in the same page as him, is the new model. Not that you have to do this, but the new model is the opposite, right? You start with the newsletter. That's the acquisition channel. That's how you get the brand going. And then once it's working, you then transition, or you still do that, but you also add in, a full media website. Is this something that you're thinking about, or what are your thoughts on this concept?
The website portion.
Yeah, like a
full rounded.
Yeah, not just a website that advertises your newsletter, but like they can get information directly from the website.
Yeah. Long term, yes. Right now, the just doing the newsletter is enough for me to get it monetized, but I think to be take it to the next level, then yeah, for sure, it's going to go full website and whatnot. I've toyed around with the idea. Like I've actually hired a freelance writer like from our area a couple of times to write some stuff for me. It didn't take off the way I thought, and I don't know. I could never pinpoint why. Like she's a journalist. She wrote really good good articles about like pretty popular things going on in the area. I don't know if I just didn't promote it right, but like I think that's where my lack of media experience comes in. I doing this newsletter to me is awesome, and I can make it local and fun to read, and I have all the links, but I don't have that media background, so I think I need to like sharpen that up or bring someone in that has that to help me expand. I know you've done a good job with your website and promoting things like that. So how's that gone for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going pretty well. Again, we've had some controversy in our town right as I launched the website, which has certainly helped. But the angle that we're taking at it right now, and what I talked with Scott about on the last episode, people should check that out if they didn't yet, is when you link at, so tell me if I'm right in your case, when you're featuring, let's say, a local restaurant or a news story, do you put in links? I assume like, oh, you want to read more about this, right? The whole thing's not in the newsletter, right? Is the link going to the restaurant's website or some other news website where the article is?
It's always we always go to the first source of information. So it'll go to like the restaurant or like the press release. Like I kind of skip over like where like I used to link always to like these 4 or 5 different news outlets, but like now I go like straight to like the actual press
where
release.
That news outlet got it, basically.
Yeah, because some of my subscribers are like, man, like you just linked me to a place where I have to go again to another link to get to like the original source where all the information is. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like I should just link out to the original piece. But I am going to the like original source of information.
Yeah. So here's how I'm thinking about doing this now, or what we have just started recently doing is the newsletter, let's say, has 2 to 3 sentences on average about something, a restaurant, a news article, whatever it is. And then we'll have a button that says read more, learn more, something like that. When they click that link, it takes them to our website to a full longer article that we wrote about the topic. Okay. And then in that website, say at the bottom, let's say it's a restaurant, right? We would then have the restaurant's website link and information at the bottom. So if you think about it as the funnel of like the newsletter has the short, quick, ooh, this is kind of interesting, I want to learn more. Boom. Then that takes them to our website, which has a lot more information because we're writing a longer article about it. Then there's you want to go see the restaurant's website. We'll even start putting in like the address that goes to Google Maps. We're going to put in their Instagram, all that on our webpage, on our basically article. And then they click out. And so what that does is that means, when you look at your click report, I mean, you're probably getting you're probably getting thousands of clicks per per issue, right?
Definitely high hundreds. Yep.
Okay, let's just make it easy. Let's say 1,000,
Yep.
and you're sending three a week, so that's 3,000 clicks. Which I know this isn't anything massive, but it's still something that could be going directly to your website. That would show up as your traffic.
That is very smart, and I think that you just pinpointed where my problem was, and why. Like, because I think that my writer was rewriting like just things that weren't really that relevant, but like you're talking about, like you're doing a write up about a restaurant or something. Like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't as unique or original or enough. And like a lot of our links right now are going to like social media because like just for an example, like a restaurant will do a new menu, and I'll just link. Maybe I'm lazy, but I've just linked to their Instagram post where they did it. And some people, like a lot of my older readers, are like, I don't have Instagram. And you're sending me to like sign up for Instagram. So maybe that's the problem.
Well, here's the point, though. Let's be clear. You just gave the counterpoint to my point correctly, which is my version is a lot more work. So when you said, "Oh, I can just link to their Instagram, make it quick," that's smart if you're trying to save time. Don't do my model because my model takes a lot more time. We got to write a whole article. We got to create a specific post in Beehive. Then you turn off the newsletter so that it's just a post. And then you got to make sure it's formatted right. You got to create a thumbnail. So that's the other thing. So every article, we have to have a thumbnail, which we just today created some good Canva like templates. So we only have, but each step may only take 2-3 minutes, maybe a little bit more. You're still talking 15 minutes on the low end, probably, if not more, to do per thing, like, in the newsletter. So this is why what I'm doing is really just like, hey, it is too much work in the short term. It's not going to pay off, of course, short term, but for me, it's more like the brand building side, right? So that when this thing gets to scale, hopefully sooner, people start to see the legitimacy of what I'm doing. It'll build the brand faster and whatnot. But I can tell you right now, if I had a full-time job, I would not do this because it's a lot of work. I don't have a full-time job with a boss. So I don't blame you for not doing it. That's why I think for someone like you, my instinct is to say, keep this in the back of your mind that at some point this probably does make sense to do, but I probably would not do it right now.
100%. I love that. My dream is like that, the media brand where I have like, maybe a couple people and they're writing restaurants, like some of the stuff that people aren't covering. It'd be so cool to have a write up of like our local brewery just launched like this crazy new like menu cool campaign with all these like local markets that they're getting the produce from and stuff. I'm like, that's a really, really cool story that people would care about. I just don't have the time to write it right now. But no one else is writing about it.
One thing to just throw out there for you on that, though, because I agree with you, although, again, the hard part if somebody did write it up is how they find it if you didn't have the website. But one thing to think about, and this is something I'm trying to think, and I have a question for you about this too, but I wonder if you asked the brewery to write it themselves. Could they write something and give it to you? I mean, they want to promote, hey, I'm going to promote you for free. You're doing some cool stuff. Write me an article about it. I mean, that's kind of what a press release is, right? They probably just didn't do a press release.
That's actually that's so funny. We've come so far with social media that, like, you're right. Their social posts are basically just what an old press release would have been. That's what,
Exactly.
I bet you there's a way. Yeah, you're right. Like, while they're writing that, I'm like, just, would you write more? Would you write 500 words and send it to them? And I'll send it to 10,000 people tomorrow. It's probably worth it for them to do.
Oh my goodness! If they don't do it, they're dumb. Which sadly some small businesses are. But that's a no-brainer. Question for you though, because I was just talking about this yesterday. So, how are you? And again, maybe this is a town thing or I don't know. But the press release situation. I just had this conversation with my wife yesterday. We had a new restaurant open yesterday. It's like a pretty big chain out here, like kind of a cool thing. And I ended up talking to the marketing guy who just happened to be there the first day. And my big competitor here, of course, knew right away and like wrote an article. And he told me, oh yeah, they already posted about me because we sent them the press release, right? And so this just got me remembering, and I know a little bit about press releases, but not a lot, that, there's got to be a way. Is there an aggregator of press releases, right? Because I can't go around every business, especially ones that haven't opened yet. How do I know how to get in touch with those people to get their press release? Again, that's where the brand building comes in, where they find me. But, if you're not there yet, how do you get all the press releases that my competitor is getting and able to write about things way sooner than me? And then I have to find out about them from them, which is not ideal. So first of all, I guess not to put you on the spot, but you mentioned the word press releases before. Is there anything you do to get them?
That was the week that I call the week from hell of my life, where
Okay.
I took my vacation from my job, and for like a couple, 3 or 4 days there, and I called every single place in my town that released press releases, and I got on their media press release lists. I called as many businesses that put out stuff like that as I could. I got on their emailing chain, and now all of them come to me. So I'm getting them the same time everybody else is getting them. So I'm just on their mailer list. But that was a grind, man. Like I actually had to physically take off time from work, and I had to go out and I had to do it. And some of them I had to call, some of them I had to email, some of them I had to physically go on their businesses. But again, it's a town of 56,000 people, right? I had to make maybe 25, 30 phone calls, which it took some time, but like now that it is, like I'm getting them straight to me, and I'm able to write them up into my newsletter as soon as I get them, and I know that content's going out. So I don't know if that answers your question or
No,
not,
it
but
does. It's just not the answer I wanted because I wanted you to give me an easier answer. Because to me, I mean, and again, this is why we have an opportunity because everything is broken in local. There's nothing is streamlined because there's no incentives
yeah,
for streamlining because each local area is its own. So there's no like coordination. So because to me, when I think of this problem that I'm literally having, trying to help businesses for free, you think that would be easier. And the answer to me, and I think this does exist in certain industries in the again in a big space, is why is there not like an aggregator where all these businesses send their press releases to one place, and then
yeah,
anybody who wants the press releases just goes to that one spot, and now you get everybody's press releases.
yeah,
Um, I think that exists in a lot of industries, but just not local, right? And that
yeah.
sucks.
That's
Maybe it's an opportunity.
that's part of like the content management stuff that I'm working on in the background. But you reminded me actually of like the way that I actually have automated it, because I hated getting the emails, and like I send out Friday at 6 a.m. and then press releases would go out Friday, 5, 6 charities, boom, 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 boom. They all come in my email. And again, I'm lazy. Like I don't like going back in my email on Friday when I'm writing on Sunday for Monday and like
Mm-hmm.
picking through all this stuff. So again, I just naturally ended up finding out where they all were all coming from. They all post them on their websites. So I just actually hooked up their website blog post feeds to my RSS feed. So I get them when they get them. Then it goes into my Slack channel, and I just pick them up from there now. But that was after I did all that work. So like again, it's like a little bit of that work that you're gonna go and like try to find out like where you're consistently getting that press from. And then you can hook up all of their websites, and as soon as it's on their website, it'll come into your Slack channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you're doing that already, the RSS
No,
feed to
no.
Slack,
I
but
tried the RSS thing, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as tech savvy as I should be, but it just seemed a little bit off. But again, I probably did it wrong. So
I can help you out with it if you want. But
yeah,
that's
maybe you should show it to me, and then I'll show everybody what you're doing because that would
yeah.
be cool. Um, yeah, no, that's cool. So you know what? This has been awesome, Shane. What didn't I ask you? Is there anything else you think we should mention or talk about that I didn't ask?
That's a good question. Um, I don't know. I think we dove into a lot. We covered
Yeah.
monetization. Um, I don't know. Is there anything that like we have a problem with? Like, do you have any problems day to day? Like maybe
Do I have
like we could
problems?
bounce off each other.
We
Like
could be
let's
here for
let's
8 hours about problems. Well, the biggest problem, again, the biggest problem is just that it's taken us a lot of time to do this stuff. And that's where, again, I think everybody in the space is thinking, where can we leverage AI to streamline this stuff? And it's
yeah,
less about writing the content, although, everybody kind of at this point already knows how to use that to help you write things. It's more about getting the data or it's the finding the content, right? And
yeah.
that's what we end up spending a ton of time on. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about it. Sorry, real quick. I want to know. Tell me about the event thing. That's our other biggest problem is events, because finding the events is pretty hard. And then deciding, my employees overseas don't always have the best context for what's a good event versus what's a bad event. And so then we're just putting a lot of energy into that. So yeah, how are you streamlining events?
So I went ahead and I spent the money on like an event calendar from a company that does event calendars professionally. That's like so
Do you want to say what it is or no?
yeah, the one I use is City Spark.
Oh, okay. So I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I found them through like 6 a.m. City. I looked at
Okay.
who their
Oh,
powered their
do they the
calendar.
6 a.m. city use them?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. To be honest, man, like it just came down to a time thing. I was so sick of going through Facebook and people's sites, and I just said I just need to get this all in one place so that I can go in at the start of the week and pick what I'm going to talk about. It's honestly that saved my life. Like I would not be doing this right now, still probably, and managing my full-time job if I didn't have this event calendar and the money and the time. Sorry, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
The time that it allowed me to save to go and sell ads is paid off tenfold in the long run, because I'm able to now reply diligently to all the inbound sales, actually have the meeting, whether that be physical or on Zoom. Whereas before I was scrambled eggs just trying to find events and like sending media kits. I no longer do that anymore. I only have meetings. I don't just send in media kit. It's
really,
it goes off into thin air. And
yeah.
People think you're too expensive, but you to sell this thing to local newsletter, like, or to local businesses, like a local newsletter, for me anyway, I have to explain to them the value.
Exactly.
Sending a media kit over and just sending, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. But anyway, so the event calendar, yeah, it's allowed me to actually go in and curate the events way beforehand. Like I curated my events today for Monday's newsletter already. I already know what's already going out there and going in. It took me about 5-10 minutes because
So yeah, no, this is super interesting. I need to know, because again, I might be scheduling a demo with them when we get off. First of all, a couple angles of this calendar thing. Does this include like a public facing calendar? And is that part of what's exciting, or is it more just specifically that you're almost getting like an RSS feed of events that you get to pick and choose to put in the newsletter, or is it both? Which part of it are we talking about?
A little bit of both. I think I should just share you my.
Yeah. Show me.
Yeah. So sorry for going long here. It's but I got
actually. This is good. We'll split this one up into two.
Cool.
It'll be perfect. Yeah, I think people want to see this because their website, does not make it clear like the details of their system. At least not on the homepage.
Can you see my screen?
It's almost, yeah, I can. Oh, I lost it.
Is it up there now?
No.
Good.
Okay, I can see it, but I just see myself.
There you go. Now?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
This is our website that hosts our calendar. Okay. This is the public facing calendar.
Okay.
So you can change the radius, you can change the city if you want to. If you cover multiple cities, you can change the date, and this is like everything that goes into it. The cool thing about this calendar is it actually pulls in from Facebook events.
See, that was going to be my question. Okay.
It also pulls in from a bunch of other different events, event calendars throughout the city. So it's kind of linked to a bunch of different event calendars. And so this is the public facing one. People love it. I link it in my calendar. We're going to get a sponsorship actually up here, a banner ad, because now we're sponsoring the calendar. So it's hopefully going to pay for itself soon. It's just added such a good layer for me to fall back on, because now I can focus on more content in the email, and I put the top 5 events and that I curate for every newsletter. But I have this to fall back on now, so I don't have to put 50 events in my account. I'm like, go to the calendar for the rest of the events this weekend, and people come here, and now this gets 20,000 hits a month. I'm going to sell sponsorship on this now, and then on the back end, like you can flag each event if you want to, and then they once you flag them, they get newsletter ready in whatever format you want, and then I just drag and drop them into the newsletter. And again, automation.
Wow. So, okay. And so you can control, are you approving these to go on there, or does it autofill everything that's on those calendars?
There's a bit of an approval process, but to be honest with you, I have never declined one. I've never had anything crazy.
But you can though, if you want to.
You can.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you can have different segments, like there's arts, theater, sports, live music, food, couple different
And
cities.
locations.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll be scheduling a demo with them in 5 minutes or when we're done. This is pretty cool. And what I
Things
would
like
do.
this, I
Oh, go
should
ahead.
probably take off, but
What's that?
so things like this, I should probably start maybe like taking a look at to see if they should be on there. But I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, but okay, that was really cool because what I would do, hopefully this works, I think technologically, I would just add an events button at the top of my site that just links out to that site, right? So it's still, you don't have to, because anytime you see like, it's a different site from my site, it's like, oh no, that sucks. I don't want to site. But you can just put the link in. Yeah, it opens another window, but most people don't know or care. It's not a big deal. Man, that is really cool. I honestly, the public thing is really cool too. I'm excited about both. But for me, to your point, if it's getting all the events, primarily Facebook being the hard one, and we don't have to do any research anymore on events, that alone is huge. Like absolutely
it is huge. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I will say it doesn't get like everything. Like it's some of the events that are just announced through like Instagram and stuff, which is like seems to be like a lot of the way like some of like the businesses announce their events. It doesn't catch that. So
is there a way for people to, if because again, the idea here is to have a brand big enough that people submit events to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way for people to submit events to that system?
Yeah,
there is. Okay. So you could just literally go find those Instagram people that are posting events and say, hey, do you want this on my calendar? And just DM them and be like, start submitting them here.
Yeah.
It'd be a pain, but maybe one time. You do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly what we did. Once you hit enough subscribers too, like we have a link to like in our newsletter, every newsletter, there's like a link to the calendar, and right underneath it is a link to submit events. So people just started going to that, knowing that we talk about events. Yeah.
This is great stuff, man. Well, look, Shane, this has been awesome. I appreciate it. I got a bunch of notes of things I got to go do right now because of your advice. So I really appreciate it. Where can people find you? If you want them to.
LinkedIn, Shane Brady, Twitter, Hoodie and Shorts. It's a weird handle, but that's what it is. And my newsletter is BOQ Today and YGK Today. And thanks for having me on, man. It's been awesome.
Of course. This has been great. I love getting notes to things that I got to go do. It's great stuff. So beneficial for both of us and hopefully anybody listening. So, all right. Thanks everyone. Talk again soon. See you, Shane.
See ya.